Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. I'm a reader, a writer, a generally chaotic being. I also was recently diagnosed with ulcerative pancreatitis, which great news! My doctor said I don't have to see him for 6 months. So yay. I'm doing better. Um, Before we get into today's video, I want to give you all guys a quick reminder to check out the AuthorTube and writing playlist spreadsheet link down below. The amazing Devin Cutting and myself have put together this spreadsheet. It has the first page tab, whatever it's called, is actually a list of all of the AuthorTube channels, not just streamers, but AuthorTube in general. Videos, streams, whatever you do is a list of channels. If you're not on there or somebody you know is also an AuthorTuber is not on that list, there's a Google form at the top of that page. Please fill it out and let me know so we can get it added to the list. As well as the next tabs are playlists that we treat like Devin Cutting's playlist. If you're bookmarking it, bookmark the very first tab, the AuthorTube list, because I will be deleting the playlists as the days pass. So there's that. But I am leaving up so today is October 31st. Happy Samhain, happy Halloween. So yesterday's playlist, October 30th, will be up and available to see until tonight, Eastern time. So I'm gonna between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern, that's gonna get removed. So, and that's gonna be how I do it. And we are constantly checking. I do start a job on November 1st, so tomorrow is my first day at my job. I'm super excited. So this is gonna be posted way after, but examples. So let's jump into our actual video now. So this is actually the second in a series of videos that I'm doing. The first one was titled All the Voices in My Head Ramblings About My Writing Projects. And this one is Where Did the Knife Come From? Ramblings About My Series S.H.A.D.O.W. I'm going to explain why that is the title. Don't worry. But I made a presentation. I made a PowerPoint. Yeah. But we are not staying here. We're going to look at the PowerPoint and then we're going to go explore other things because why not? So, S.H.A.D.O.W. What genre is S.H.A.D.O.W. to start with? I'll give you some background into S.H.A.D.O.W. in a minute. So, what is genre? S.H.A.D.O.W. is urban fantasy. There are some mystery elements also included because they solve crime. So there has to be mystery elements involved. So what is S.H.A.D.O.W.? To start off, S.H.A.D.O.W. is going to be a series of 7 books. It's not going to be 1 book, it's going to be 7 because I'm insane. And I already have them titled. Because again, I'm insane. Do I have a book to hand you? No. Actually, book 1, Whispers of Tomorrow, is currently all of draft 1 is available on Kindle Vella, if you want to check that out. But I have already created these titles, and I also have some covers made. In fact, you're going to see the cover for Whispers of Tomorrow in this. But so it's going to go Whispers of Tomorrow, which I call WOT or what, because it's fun. Book 2 is going to be Whispers of Eternity. I'm actually working on the outline for Whispers of Eternity, and we'll hopefully start drafting while I'm editing book 1 so that I can get chapters up on Kindle Vella as well, which I call low. So book 3 is going to be Whispers of the Graveyard. Book 4, Whispers of Shadows. Book 5, Shadows of Ancients. Book 6, Shadows of the Sword, and Book 7, Shadows of Fate. Ooh, that one's actually kind of mysterious. So, fun thing, I already plan for, if you watch the first video in this series of videos, you've heard all of the projects that I'm working on with a very small glimpse and overview of them, of what they're about. So at some point in these 7 books, not book 1, I can guarantee that, you will get to meet the main character of Blood Rain trilogy, Dinah will at one point appear. At minimum, one point she will appear in one of these books. The main character of Uncommon Royals, one of them, will appear in the books. I do know this. I planned for this. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited. What is Shadow about? So Shadow is a series that follows Lavinia Daniels. Lavinia Daniels is a witch. She stopped practicing magic when she was 16, and when she was 18, she enlisted in the army and she went off and became a soldier. She was actually a really good soldier. She has many medals, many honors bestowed upon her, but she was also a POW. She was a prisoner of war, and she had things happen to her. Um, and she actually returns home uh, after she's healed enough to return home because they didn't want to transport her across the ocean with the condition she was in. Um, you actually find out in the first chapter that Lavinia actually died. Lavinia died while she was away, and something brought her back. She does not know what brought her back at this time. But once she returns home and she gets to see her family again, some things are pretty shaky with certain family members. But you get to see the love of her family and the relationship with her and her siblings, and um, you also she gets summoned for the elders, and some things happen there. And things have happened in the past with the elders that are brought up as well. But eventually, in the first couple chapters, Lavinia is recruited to S.H.A.D.O.W. S.H.A.D.O.W is essentially the supernatural governing body, police force-esque situation for the supernatural. They're the ones who basically enforce the supernatural rule overall. Different categories. So by this point, vampires have a structure. Um, and werewolves have their own structure, witches have their own hierarchy, but they all do answer to Shadow because Shadow answers to nature herself, to the ancient mother. They answer to her. They answer to Mother Life and Mother Death. They answer to the ancestors and to spirits. So Lavinia is basically recruited to the supernatural police force, if you will, and she's going to go through training in the first book. The first half is basically her training, essentially, in the first book. Um, and she has to relearn her magic. Sometimes it seems like she has some control of her magic when really her magic just has a mind of its own. Um, so it follows her, and then she gets a work partner named Ian Wheeler. She ships him and her brother. I don't know if you guys know what shipping is, but she's just like, you and my brother are adorable, and you keep flirting. It's disgusting, but dang it, you two belong together. And she thinks they're the most adorable thing ever when they meet. Um, so Lavinia and Ian work together in the first book to solve a specific crime together. And throughout the series, the team will expand. They will solve bigger cases. Lavinia Mary has connections she doesn't know she has, and she's gonna have to figure those out. She's gonna throughout the series, she's gonna uncover family secrets that her parents, mother in particular, kept hidden from her children. So Lavinia is gonna she rises the ranks of Shadow throughout the series. So I'm hoping people are gonna enjoy it as much as I enjoy building it and creating it. So here's book one's cover. I made this in Canva. So there are some aspects of this cover that I actually want to talk with you guys about. Um, so this pathway is actually a pathway kind of leading to something that you will see in the book. See I hope I describe it well enough in the book that you can kind of visualize it. That's why this is the particular cover I decided to go with. And a note, every cover has a sword on it. So when you guys see the future covers, you're like, where's the sword? Where's the sword? Where's the sword? Sometimes I hid the swords and sometimes I made them very obvious. But every time there's a sword. And that's going to explain where did the knife come from. So at Shadow, because they are an organization, they have paperwork. Lavinia hates paperwork. Understandably so. And she learns. Eventually, Lavinia ends up like carrying knives because there's less paperwork when knives are involved rather than a gun. And she hates paperwork. So the less paperwork she has to do, the more likely she's going to do the thing that involves less paperwork. So we're going to go over and check out the World Anvil, which I will link in the description below. World Anvil is a great world building site. I highly recommend it. They're amazing. I didn't realize it, but it's actually at this time still in beta. I did not know that. I'm super excited for it to launch to properly version 1. So this is actually the public page. You guys can see this at any point. Which like I said, I'll link in the description. So we're actually going to look at Lavinia's page. I do need to update this and add to it. But this is Lavinia. I'm so excited you guys get to see this. Her powers actually are portrayed as a purple color. That's why her eyes when she uses a lot of power, they glow purple. Like her magic appears as an iridescent purple. It's really pretty. Um, And so the descriptions that I give about her magic are actually very important to note in the book. So Lavinia is really powerful, but she isn't like other most witches rely very heavily on their magic. She relies on her magic in the sense that her magic's going to do it anyway, and she has to relearn that control. Um so some background into Shadow. Originally, I created Lavinia for a fanfic. She was going to be an OC. An OC is an original character. She was going to be an original character in a fanfic. It was going to be a mega crossover fanfic. And I started creating this character for the fanfic, and I really started building up her backstory and her connections and stuff. And I was like, huh, I I really like this character. And then next thing I know, I was like, I'm gonna write a book for this character. The Shadow was born. Shadow was originally gonna be one book. And then I realized how much of a story I wanted to tell. And now there's going to be 7 books in the Shadow series. But yeah, Lavinia started off as an original character for a fanfic, and now she's this. Shadow came from the spark of a fanfic. I do have more to add to this. You can also see right here's her family. So there's Lavinia. She's the oldest. And then it goes Demetrius, Penelope, Alexander, Cassandra. They're the children of Alexandria and William Daniels. So I don't know why it puts her at the end. She should be at the front. I don't know why. Um, but my classics degree heavily influenced their names. I'm gonna be honest. Um, so actually you can read uh Shadow if you have supported me on Coffee or Patreon. You'll actually get a link. Those are you get the link and passcode with the tier subscription thingies. And you can actually read all of book 1 here on World Anvil as well. So how I kind of have the witches, I don't know. I don't have it on here yet. Okay. So let's go back to Lavinia. So Their magic in this universe of witches is much more tangible than you'd think. So, the reason there are wisps of magic around her is she actually like, her magic can actually manifest in the form of, like, tendrils of magic, um, and interact with the world. So, her brother, Demetrius, I have a short story that I wanna edit some more, and it's actually gonna end up here on World Anvil, that his magic appears green. He primarily does earth type magic, and he goes into the woods, and his magic is like poking trees and playing with the grass, and one tendril of his magic finds a bird, and it's like, I like this bird. Okay. And in the time that he's out there, he has to tell his magic, no, we can't take the bird home. So the magic kind of has like a mind of its own. Spoiler alert, he ends up with a bird. Which the bird ends up being his familiar, which is kind of cute. He gets a burb. A burb. It kind of just sits on his head. It's adorable until it starts manifesting magic of its own. That's gonna be fun to like write. Um, Eventually, Lavinia. I haven't fully decided what she's getting, but she will end up with a familiar of her own, which I think will be fun to do. Um, because familiars are one, they can make you more powerful or they can help balance you out. If you're already really powerful, they help balance a witch magic user out a little bit to um have some place for their magic to go and to do things that the magic user can't do. Um Sometimes a familiar is can be completely created from somebody's magic, or it can be a naturally occurring animal or minor supernatural being, um, even can become a familiar. So it's really fun. And if you notice, she's the balance keeper. Essentially, it's an honorific title, and you're that for your lifetime. So it is believed that the very first balance keeper was the ancient mother, or either the first matriarch, whichever one is older. Some are not sure of the age, but there are dozens to hundreds of potential balance keepers. So think like how Buffy had potential slayers, um, and only one is chosen to be the slayer. So in this case, um, it's not randomly chosen like that. It's more of a whoever steps onto the right path and follows the right path ends up the balance keeper. And Lavinia is kind of aware, once she becomes the balance keeper and is proclaimed it. She doesn't want it. She's the reluctant hero, I will be honest. And she becomes aware that that means that there could have been a world where she was not the balance keeper. Spoiler, eventually she will fight another potential somebody who was a potential balance keeper but went down the wrong path. And she's like, "Oh gosh, does this mean that there's a world or there could have been a timeline where I was the bad guy?" And she comes to like some really deep realizations. So the ancient mother, I don't really have anything on her, was the is essentially their goddess, one of their goddesses. Um, she is the deity of the Order of the First Witch, and I kind of have it where no, that's a spoiler. I'm not gonna spoil too much things. Um, but this is here, let's look at the background view. So see, I have a lot more stuff in here than I have available to be viewed yet because I want to expand some more stuff and make sure they all have stuff on them before I announce it. Did I add to this one yet? I did. Okay. So shadow travel is a special thing in Shadow. It's really cool. Um, but yeah. So this is a spell. I'm really excited. So yeah. So when and where can you get Shadow, guys? Fingers crossed. That So I have two goals to get book one out. So of course you can read book one available on Kindle Vella, or if you support me on Coffee or Patreon, you can read it through World Anvil. Or I also have the first draft as well, chapters available to be read on Coffee at this time. I'm working on getting them up on Patreon. It hurts my brain. No, they're not available on Coffee. It's available through World Anvil. I have to get them up on Coffee and Patreon. That's it. But if you're a tier membership on those, you can get a passcode and link to access it on World Anvil, and you can read it not for free, but technically you've paid because it has to be behind a paywall because it's on Kindle Vella. Um, so yeah, you can check those out there if you like. But to get it published as a book like that you can physically hold or you can get on ebook, um, is my realistic goal is my birthday in January. So January 14th is the goal date. So hopefully there will be a book by then. My unrealistic goal, or if I become superhuman, is December, which is probably not going to happen because I have a job. I start tomorrow, and I'm super excited for that job. Um, so hopefully, I will give a more concrete announcement on when you can get a physical copy or just a copy of Whispers of Tomorrow and not just the Vela version of it. That is all I have for you on Shadow. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I appreciate it. If you liked this, could you give me a thumbs up if you want more content from me? Could you somewhere there's a subscribe button. Could you hit the subscribe button? I'd really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye and have a great one.